Hi everyone, my name is Craig Collins. Welcome to a presentation of Granite Warehouse Management System with integration to Sage ERP. This is integrated to Sage ERP version 6, but we support all the latest versions of Sage ERP 300. We also support integration into Pastel Evolution. So what I've got is a virtual machine running Granite together with our scanner applications and everything that I need to do to demonstrate the product. What you'll see is that we have full user logon and authentication. Users can be customized to show and to be able to execute certain functionality. So here goes. We're going to log on as admin. What you will see is that every transaction that gets done in Granite is tracked and managed and reported by user. So first thing is the look and feel of Granite. This is the current look and feel, and this is our desktop application. In future, this may become a web application or be accessible via tablet, etc. So it really is just the dashboard to report on what's happening in the warehouse management system. Most of the functionality gets done on the scanner application. So if I load my Firefox browser, what you'll see is that I have a screen that looks like or is sized to about the size of a scanner screen, and here you can log on. So I'm going to log on as scan, and you'll see that our main menu is within the browser. One of the reasons for putting it in the browser is it makes it accessible on pretty much any device. So while it will run on a tablet or a phone, it also runs within a browser on a scanning device, which is on your Wi-Fi network. Now, currently this website is hosted on the Granite server on site. So even though it is internet-based, it is hosted in-premise, and we don't need internet access externally to be able to use the functionality. So let's go back to the Granite user interface and take a look at a couple of tabs. So under inventory, I've got my stock detail tab and my stock summary. Those are the two main things that people will be looking at. I've got tracking entities, and I'll go into that in more detail. And I have transactions and various other reports. Under master files, I can manage my locations and my master items. Categories and types are mainly for reporting and my user management. You'll see I have a stock take tab, and I have inbound functionality and outbound functionality. Again, we'll go into those in more detail a bit later. So to start with, we go to master files, and the first thing to understand is that while Granite runs on a separate database, it also has integration into the ERP system. So for example, if I have an item code in ACCPAC and I change the description of that item code, it will automatically come through via our integration layer into Granite. So let me demonstrate that first for you. So let's go to master items in Granite, and this is the list of items that are currently sitting in ACCPAC and in Granite. What you'll see is that this stock code here, 000570, is for a 100mm piston for a hydro pump. I'm going to go and change it, but I'm going to change it in ACCPAC. So I fire up my ACCPAC interface and click on items, and I'm going to go to that item code. Sorry, it was 000570. No. Let's do that, 000570. Do that again. My ACCPAC skills are not as good as they should be, and I can see that it's a 100mm piston for a hydro pump. Now let's modify that and say that take out the word for and a hydro pump version 2, for example, and I'm now going to save it. This is done in ACCPAC. Now you will see if I go to Granite and I refresh, it's immediately updated in Granite. So what I've demonstrated is that by changing master item in or an item code in ACCPAC, it automatically comes through into Granite. We can also specify that the categories emulate the ACCPAC categories, but sometimes we don't want to do that because we want to categorize at a warehouse level only or differently to in ACCPAC. If I click on that hydro pump in Granite, you'll see that I've got certain data like the description and the unit of measure, but I've also got my type and category, and I can go to category and I can specify that is pumps. I then have additional information that is kept in Granite, which is not necessarily kept in ACCPAC. Things like where the bulk put away location is, whether when on receipt or on creation of the stock in Granite it must immediately go on hold, or where it is going to be picked from, what pick face location it's stored in. And some of the things that happen here is by specifying certain things here, like what pick face location it is stored in, I can also specify the minimum level of that pick face and optimal level to drive a replenishment report to the pick face. So let me go out of that. I want to show you locations now. If I go take a look at locations in Granite, what you'll see is that I've got locations defined with a name. I have the barcode that matches to that location, and I then have my ERP location. You'll see that all of these are the Johannesburg ERP location in ACCPAC, and I have one which is the work in progress location. Why I've specified this is I want to demonstrate later on how movements between ERP locations drive transactions into ACCPAC, but movements just between locations in the same ERP location are tracked and managed in Granite, in the warehouse system, and don't have an impact on ACCPAC. So I can go and add a new location, for example, and you'll see locations are really simple. I can say this location is a quarantine location, and its barcode could be quarantine. Its ERP location is the Joburg warehouse, but I may have defined a warehouse for quarantine in ACCPAC as well. And I can specify that it is a floor location, and if I were using sites, I could specify sites as well. What the sites does is it limits visibility to users who are also linked to those sites, so I can contain site information by site. So I'm now going to save my quarantine location, and I have the quarantine location. Let's just show you it is there, and you can see it's category floor. Right. So let's go to inventory and look at my stock detail. Currently, I have got no stock within Granite, and that is intentional. I'm now going to go and show you a location detail for a stock code, and I have some sample data set up. So the stock code I want to work with to start with is 004457. I'm going to go 004457. That is a seal retainer, and I currently have in my Joburg location 10 and in my WIP location 1, but I've got no stock in Granite. So imagine that we are starting up the warehouse and we now need to create the stock in Granite. So what we have is the Granite scanner. I'm now going to go using the Granite scanner to create that stock. So I would go inbound, take on. So we're not receiving it against a purchase order, we are doing a take on. And my reference, again, I can type, it is free format, I can type in a document number, a check sheet, or a specific transfer document. Alternatively, I'm going to just put in here initial take on. What location do I want to take it on into? Well, I can take on into receiving or directly on the racks. So for example, this is stuff that's already on the shelves. So I'm going to take it on into location A101. And the specific bit of stock, there's no batch number, there's no expiry date. Those prompts can be turned on or off during configuration. So for example, if the customer doesn't use expiring dates, then we turn expiry dates off. The stock code that I'm working with is 004457, and you can see it immediately brings it up that it is a seal retainer. Now we have a concept of a tracking barcode. So at this point, it's important for me to step back and explain tracking barcodes to you. So within Granite, everything that's managed is tracked with a tracking barcode. So if I have 10 boxes of these seal retainers, I would have 10 unique tracking barcodes, and they can be placed anywhere in the warehouse because I know where those tracking barcodes are. So it's like a license plate on a car, or a pallet label, or a box label. Granite tracks the quantity against a tracking barcode as well, so I can therefore have one box with 10 seal retainers in it, or I can have 2 boxes with 5 seal retainers, or 10 individual serial retainers, each one with a different serial number. So it's a very important concept to understand, and more on this later, but it's actually the essence of Granite, is the tracking entity or tracking barcode. If I leave the tracking barcode field blank, Granite will auto-generate one. If I scan a tracking barcode or I identify or put in a tracking barcode, it will use that. Now, if I use one that's existing in the warehouse, so I already have a tracking barcode and I just want to add stock to it, I then would scan the existing tracking barcode and add stock to it. What I'm now going to do is leave it blank, so Granite generated. Then I'm going to specify the quantity. So let's say my quantity in this specific iteration or creation of tracking barcode is 5. And now it asks me for the number of unique codes. In other words, how many boxes are there? And again, I can change that prompt to say number of boxes or whatever is specific to this customer. So in this case, I'm going to say that there is 2 of them. And what Granite now does is it would typically go and print 2 box labels. So if I go to my inventory and I take a look, I've now got my quantity on hand of 5 and 5 on tracking barcode number 21 and 22. That's the stock code, and they're both in location A101. I'm now going to take another one on, which is in my work in progress store. Okay, but now one of the things I need to specify at this point is integration turned on or turned off for inventory receipts? So it's quite possible that by doing this take on, I've created stock in ACCPAC because I have integration turned on for the take on transaction. What I can do is turn integration off for the take on transaction, in which case I would only be creating stock in Granite, and once I've finished my take on, I would then go and create the inventory again, or turn the integration on so that any additional take-ons actually create stock. Normally, on most of our implementations, take-on integration is switched off. So what I now want to do, this stock code 00477, I want to go and show you something. Under inventory, we've got a variance correction tab. This shows all stock in Granite and ACCPAC and how they correspond. So let's filter on that specific stock code and take a look at what we've got. So what you'll see is that there's only one discrepancy, and that is on my ERP quantity in my WIP location. And the reason that that shows is that the warehouse location, Joburg, is now in balance. In other words, I've got 10 in Joburg and 10 in the WIP location. So you can recall, if I go to location details in ACCPAC and I put that stock code in, I had 10. I now got 20. There are a couple of little funnies here in terms of day-end processes. So what's happened is it's created the extra 10 due to that integration being turned on in Granite, and it's created the extra 10 in ACCPAC due to integration turned on. But some of the day-end processes need to be run to update the inventory location table so that the variances are shown correctly. In fact, let's see if we can do that and go to the inventory control periodic processing and run a day end. Alternatively, when we specify integration, one of the things we do is we specify the whether the integration transaction is saved or saved and posted. Now, it may be that I saved the transaction and didn't post it, but in this case I didn't. So what you'll see now is that by having run my day in process, it's updated in ACCPAC the inventory locations, and the result now is that Granite shows that it's got 10 in the warehouse and it's got 20 in the ERP quantity, which is the ACCPAC location, Joburg. So it's still in variance because I've got 10 in the warehouse and I've got 20 in ACCPAC. Right, so, but what did show you is that when I did the take on, and I'll show you now, I'm going to do a take on of this one in work in progress, you'll see that the ERP quantity will go to 2 and the warehouse quantity will go to 1 because I'm going to take on 1 in the work in progress location. I go to my scanner, specify, I'm still in the middle of this transaction, but I'm to carry on with the transaction, but now I'm going to go to home and I'm going to do it again, inbound, take on. My reference is initial take on. My location, I'm going to put this one in WIP and I'm going to specify the same stock code. Leave the tracking barcode blank, quantity of 1 and 1 unique code, and if I refresh, I've got the stock code, that variance disappeared, but when I run the day-in process in ACCPAC, you'll see that the variance will come back again because it's now posted that inventory receipt. So now if I refresh and I re-specify the stock code, it's come back again, but now there's 2 in ACCPAC. So what you saw is that if I go to transactions, I did 2 take on or 3 take on transactions, or 3 tracking entities were taken on. In ACCPAC, it created a receipt 44 and a receipt 45. Those are the 2 ACCPAC transactions, and that integration was immediate. So when I did the take on, it immediately created stock in ACCPAC. That was done through an inventory receipt. Again, if that transaction was turned off, it wouldn't happen. So I'm going to quickly go turn that transaction off so that you can see how I do this. This is at configuration level on my database, and if this is done once, integration settings, and you'll see that I've got just explain this. I've got receipt, which is an inventory receipt, and it's currently active, and posting is turned on. So if I say it's not active, false, and post is false, now when I do a receipt in Granite, it won't create a receipt in ACCPAC. So let's test that. If I go to Granite again, and I now do for the same transactions, initial take on, I'm going to do it again because I want to specify a new location. Take on, reference is initial take on. My location this time is A102, which is one of the locations in the Joburg warehouse. Leave batch and expiry date empty, specify my stock code, tracking barcode empty, quantity of 5 per box, another 2 boxes, and you can see when it said transaction successful, it doesn't show the receipt number over there. That means it hasn't created a receipt. If I refresh my transactions, you'll see there's no receipt number on these 2 boxes because integration is turned off. And if we now go to variance correction, it will clear stock code in. That variance has disappeared, but now there's no transaction in ACCPAC, no receipt transaction in ACCPAC, so it will stay in balance now. So if I go back to my stock detail and refresh it, you can see I now have 5 boxes of that stock. These boxes have got 4 in them, but the one in work in progress has got 1 in them. Right, so what I now want to do is go and move some of that stock around. So basically I'm going to say, I've got 2 of them in location A102, which is a rack location, and I've got another 2 in A101. I would actually like to bring these 2 boxes into the same location so they're all sitting in A101. Again, Granite doesn't really care where you put them because we are tracking where and who and where they're stored. We will also know which one is the oldest one, so we can put it anywhere in the warehouse. But for the purposes of the demonstration, let's go and move that stock. So I'm going to go to my inventory, move transaction. I can leave the comment empty because it's just a straightforward move. I'm going to say I'm moving it to A101, and I now will scan the tracking barcode. So that tracking barcode is number 24 and number 25. So basically, if I refresh now, they're all sitting in the same location, apart from the one in work in progress. If I go to my stock summary report, you can see that in location A101, I have got that stock code and I've got 20 of them. Likewise, in work, I've got 1. So a little bit of information around these grids. These grids are sortable and groupable. So for example, that location field is grouped by location. If I bring that down, it's now no longer grouped by location, but I can go and I can group it by stock code. So now under stock code, I've got WIP and A101, and it shows me the total in those locations. Again, there's certain things I can do. I can, for example, group by batch number. I can sort, I can filter. I could go and just say, show me the specific stock code if I had more than one stock code. So there's a number of things that I can do with these grids. The other thing I can do with these grids is I can go to options and to columns, and I can go and define what columns are showing and what columns are not showing. So for example, I can go and show the site or not show the site. Take the site column out of that grid, and I can then go and save it as a new grid report. So this one is Craig no site, and let's actually say it's summary create no site, and I've now saved that grid layout as specific to me. So there's a number of things that one can do with the grids and make Granite very flexible in terms of reporting on the standard desktop application. We also do reporting in Excel, so one can create pivot tables and a whole lot of other clever reports and different ways of looking at transactions and stock. Just going back to transactions now, you'll see that I have got, apart from the take on transactions that I originally had, I have now got move transactions as well. So you can see that the user scan moved box number 24 and box number 25, and from location A102 to location A101. Okay. Again, you'll see I've got certain fields in this layout, and I can change the layout. I can also go and say, well, let me see the tracking entity transactions, and now go and group it by stock code before transaction type. So I've now got within every stock code what the different transactions are. So again, flexibility and simplicity around the grids. Right, so I've gone and shown you take on transactions, I've shown you integration to ACCPAC around master files, and I've shown you transactions and how to group as well as our grids, and I've shown you moves by the scanner functionality. So basically my move on the scanner allowed me to move those boxes. I can also go and do a split and move or a replenish. I can take stock from one box and put it into another. So for example, if I go to inventory, replenish stock, this can also be called split and move. I can say take from box number 24 and take it and put it in box number 25 and take 3 of them. Okay, and it's in location A101. So that replenishes is successful. If I now go to stock detail, you can see that box number 24 has got 2 in it and box number 25 has got 8. So we moved quantity between boxes. Bearing in mind that did nothing in ACCPAC because there's no transaction need in ACCPAC. In ACCPAC, we know that total quantity for 4457 in the Joburg warehouse is 20. It doesn't matter how they're split up in boxes. So Granite has got a layer of granularity that is at a box or individual item level, and whereas ACCPAC carries the item code in location only. Right, so I now want to move on to inbound and outbound transactions through specific documents, the ACCPAC documents. So if I go to inbound, receiving execution, this shows me all purchase orders I'm expecting in the system. So this is a purchase order number 99 that was defined in ACCPAC, and it's for these specific items. Now I'm going to ignore that one because if I refresh here, there's only one purchase order. I'm now going to go into ACCPAC and create a new purchase order. So it should be purchase order number 100. I'm going to go to my purchase order entry, and I'm going to go create a new purchase order. So what vendor am I buying from? Let's use ACCPAC because I know that one is set up correctly, and I'm going to ship it to my Joburg location, and I'm going to leave everything else default. I don't have to do anything else, and this is just a stock order. Our internal reference is, let's say, stock fib, and I'm now going to specify my item codes. So what items do I want to buy or place purchase orders for? I'm going to use some new items because I want to get some pumps and things like that. So 157B5999, 157B5999. It's a pump module seal kit, and I'm going to order 10 of those. I'm not worrying about cost at this stage, I just want to demonstrate to you. Okay, let's go to create a new item, and this one is going to be 1504206, and it's a seal kit, and I want to order 100 of those. Let's put a unit cost in just to satisfy the accounting requirement, and I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to add another line which is 002915, and that's end caps, and let's order 10 of those at a unit cost of say 50 Rand. And finally I'm going to order a 15, let's order that 11411613, which is a charge pump drive, and I'm going to order 3 of those, and those are expensive items, so let's add that. Right, so if I look at my purchase order, I've got 4 lines on it, and it's a new purchase order. I'm now going to post that purchase order. Posting is complete purchase order number 100. Done printed, but now I'm going to go into Granite and refresh my purchase order screen, and it's immediately available in Granite. So it's now available for receiving in Granite. So purchase order 100, it's got 4 line items on it, 10, 100, 10 and 3, and I'm ready to receive them. So when your guys in receiving look at this screen, which is the receiving execution, they can see what is expected and what they're going to have to receive and label. So let's say purchase order number 100, part of it arrives, and again we're going to receive part of it, not the whole order. I'm going to go to my scanner, to my home menu, inbound, receiving this time as opposed to take on, and I'm going to put in my purchase order number. So receiving against purchase order number 100. Where am I receiving? You can see it's got the detail of what we're expecting. So for that pump seal kit, we're expecting 10. For this seal kit, we're expecting 100. We're expecting 10 end caps, and we're expecting 3 charge pump drives. So I'm going to put it into the receiving location. What was the supplier's delivery note number? Well, let's say it was delivery note number 1. And now I would scan the stock code. If the product is labeled with a barcode label with the stock code, I can scan it. Alternatively, if I have a mapping of a retail barcode in my master item, I can scan the retail barcode to identify it. But in this case, I'm just going to enter the stock code. So they've delivered, let's say my stock item, the pump side module seal kits. There's no batch number on it or expiry date, and my tracking barcode I'm going to leave empty. There's 10 of them. I'm going to say there's 10 per box, and I've got 1 box. So I received 1 of them, and you can see that line has disappeared on my purchase order. They've also delivered the seal kits, 1504-206. Again, no batch. Let's say there's an expiry date on these seal kits. So I'm going to say my expiry date is 2016-0101. Tracking barcode, there's 100 of these. So I'm going to say quantity per box is 50, and there's 2 boxes. Right, so the seals are now received, and now let's go and receive one of those pumps. So the pump is 141613. No batch number, no expiry date on the pump. Now let's say that this pump has got a serial number. So what I can do is I can bring it in with the tracking barcode as my serial number. So I can type or scan my serial number in here. Alternatively, I can let Granite generate its own barcode label for it, and I could capture the serial number separately. So in this case, I'm going to bring it in with a specific serial number. Let's say this pump has got a serial number which is 2016 2015 01 10 0001. Okay, so they've got in the serial numbering from the supplier, they've got a date code and then a number. So that's the tracking barcode. Quantity is 1, number box is 1. Right. So I'm part received. You can see I'm now still expecting. I've received 1 of the 3 of the pumps, of the pump drives, and I've still got to receive these end caps, but I've received some of the others. So now I'm going to go and take a look at where we are on this order. If I refresh my receiving execution dashboard and I click on purchase order number 100, you can see that I've received the seal kits in full. I've received my pump seal kits, pump side module seal kits in full, so those are completed. I've received none of the end caps, and I've received 1 of my charge pump drives. That's at the purchase order level. If I now go to my inventory and I look at my stock detail, you can see I have pump side modules seal kits, I have seal kits, and there's my pump. And you can see the pump, as opposed to having a T number which the others had, so for example those were the 2 boxes with 50 in them, seal kits, this one has got a serial number as its tracking barcode. And you can see that I have my expiry date on those 2 boxes of seal kits which I specified. Right, if I go and look at my stock summary, it's by location. I don't want it by location. I would like to see it just as a general flat layout. You can see with expiry date 101, I have got 100. I've got seal retainers, and one of the reasons that it shows them as different is because they're in different, they're either different locations or there was different specification in them. And I've got pump module seal kits. I've got 10 of those. They're also spread across 2 boxes. Remember when I went to stock detail for those pump modules, I remember I only had them in one stock, in one box. Right, so I've got my stock summary, my stock detail, my receiving execution shows me what I've received so far. So now what I want to do is I want to create a GRN in ACCPAC for purchase order number 100 because I'm part receiving and that's all that the supply is delivered. So I'm going to go inbound, posting, and I'm going to put my purchase order number in. And now I did a posting complete, created a receipt number 145 in ACCPAC. If I go to my transactions and I say, look at receive, there's my receipt. All of that stock was received against receipt 145, and integration is true, so therefore it has gone into ACCPAC. I can now go into my ACCPAC system and go to my receipt entry, put in purchase receipt number, it should be the last one over here, 145, and you can see it's created the receipt for the pumps, 10 of them, 100 seal kits, and those 2 lines are completed. And this line is not completed as a part receipt, there's 1 received. So what you see is that I did a receipt in my receiving area. I immediately, after I was happy with the receipt, possibly a supervisor checked it, and once the supervisor checked it, he posted it, and what it did was it created a receipt in ACCPAC. That receipt can either be, or can be left open and saved, so it can still be posted by accounts. So accounts can go in now and they can say, okay, well, hold on, these costs are wrong. Let's go and fix the costing, and let's maybe add the shipping cost or something like that, and then they can post it. So we don't necessarily post the receipt. It is an option on our integration. Right, so what I did was I created sorry, I don't want to close ACCPAC. What I did was I created a purchase order, which you saw appear in Granite as a document. I then receipted against that purchase order using the scanner. It would have printed labels for each of those receipted items, and I then went and I used my scanner to post it, which created a receipt in ACCPAC, which saved it, not posted it in ACCPAC. Right, and I now have that stock. What you'll also see if I go to my stock detail and refresh is that stock is all sitting in receiving. So someone now comes and says, listen, we must put this stuff away. Let's go take these 2 boxes of seal kits and go and put them away. So he takes his scanner and he goes inventory move, and he says the 2 locations, he's going to put this in A103, and he's going to put tracking barcode number 27 and tracking barcode number 28 if he scans and puts it away. So now when I refresh, you'll see those 2 boxes are immediately out of the receiving area now, and they're in the racks. So I have visibility of them in my racks. Right, I don't want this demonstration to be too long. We're really going into half an hour, so I want to just go and show you a couple more things. If I go to my transactions and take a look at all transactions, you can see that every transaction that I've done so far is tracked and managed and reported on in Granite. So I've got traceability across boxes by user, and if I, for example, was managing lots or batches, I could go and say, for a specific lot or batch, show me all information. I can go in here and I can filter, so I can say, show me everything that took place on receipt 145, and those are the items that I received. What I can do is I can clear that and say, show me everything that took place for a stock code. So 157B, I don't have to specify that, to put the first part in. For that specific stock code, I did a take on and a receipt. So there's a number of filters and things that I can do in this transaction view. Right, let's just briefly cover quality control. Under quality control, I can go in, this shows me all stock on hand. I can say, listen, I'm not happy with this pump. I want to put it on hold so it can't be picked. So I go and I click it, specify it, and I say, put it on hold The reason is the case is scuffed, and that stock is now on hold. If I refresh it, it's not visible in my stock on hand under quality control. If I go to my stock detail, you'll see, okay, I'm not showing the status here. So what I'm going to do is bring through the status, go to my columns, find, okay, I haven't set up the status on my stock detail at all. It's something that I would normally do in part of my configuration. If I look at my stock summary, it's not, the status is not set up on my reports. That's a bit of an oversight. I should have prepared that for this demo. Let's just see if I've got it in here. But what I can see is if I go to quality control and I switch view to say show me all on hold stock, you can see that that specific pump is currently status QC hold. And what I'm going to do later on is I'll try and do a pick of it, and you'll see it won't allow me to because it's on hold. So switch view, show me in stock products, and that pump is not in stock, or not on the in stock view. But again, my stock detail, normally what I do is I bring through the status field in here, and that's a configuration that I've got to do when I do the implementation, and that would then allow me to see what's on hold and what's not on hold on my stock detail view. Right, let's focus on outbound now, and let's go into the picking process. If I go to outbound order execution, I've got 2 orders in the system. I'm going to ignore those orders, and I'm going to create a new order. Okay, so my last order is 67837. I'm going to go into ACCPAC and create a new sales order. So go to order entry transactions, go to order entry, create a new order for customer. Let's just choose Art Mining, and description is their purchase order number. Let's say it's PO 8899, and I want to pick from location Joburg. Okay, and I'm going to specify a description for this order as it's JC Minar. Place the order, and a reference. I don't need to do any of this, but it's just head information on the order. That's whatever your processes are in ACCPAC. I'm now going to go to my lines, and I'm going to place an order for some of the items that I know I've got in stock. Let's take a look at those stock codes, and I know I've got 157B5999. Again, for demonstration purposes, it works well. Okay, so I haven't set up specific pricing on that item. It's fine. There's certain things on price lists and things that I haven't set up in ACCPAC for this demonstration. Again, not specifically an ACCPAC guru. By the way, I'm using a virtual machine here and working on an Apple Mac. Now, it's interesting, the Apple Mac doesn't have an insert key, so it's really tricky to get an insert going on the end of this to insert a new line. That's one of the reasons why I go to the item screen to go create a new line. So I've got a new line, new item code. Let's put in that pump, which I know is currently on hold. The pump, and I'm going to order one of them and add it. And then my line 3, I'm going to order some of those seal kits. Let's just go and check what that stock code is. Inventory stock detail. Seal kits, I know I've got 50 in the box. It's stock code 1504206. I can go and copy that cell for use in ACCPAC. So go to my order and paste it. Seal kits and quantity ordered, let's say 75. Oops. 75 of them, and again, I'm not worried about putting prices in. It's currently the unit price is 702. I'm going to add that order or that line. Right, so I now post my order, and I've got 3 lines on the order. Okay, it's got a credit approve requirement. So I'm just going to proceed and post it. So my order number is 67838. I could now print up order confirmation, which would effectively be a picking slip, but alternatively I can leave that and print my picking slip from Granite. So now if I go to my order execution, outbound order execution, there's my new order 838, and it requires pump seal kits. I didn't save that quantity correctly. And it requires these seal kits, 75 of them, and one of those charge pump drives. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick some of these seal kits, and I'm going to try and pick that pump, but that pump is going to not allow me to be picked because it's on hold. So yeah, that, please excuse the mistake. I didn't put a quantity in when I went and added that line, so that's a mistake on my part. I could now go and modify that. I haven't tested this in this specific setup. I'm a bit concerned to do it, but let's try it anyway. And that order 067838. What was that item code? It's the 157B. So it's that line there. And I'm going to go and make the order quantity 10. Post. Let's see if it updated Granite. There we go. So I made a modification to a line in Granite in ACCPAC, which I made a mistake on, and automatically updated Granite. So now my order is correct. I promise I didn't do that on purpose. It just happened to be that way. Right. So now I'm going to take my scanner and go and pick this order. But before I do that, I want a picking slip. So let's say for this order, I want to print my picking slip. And that's a Granite picking slip. You can see it's showing me that I can pick the seal kits from the receiving location. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Zoom in a bit. Okay, so tracking barcode number 26, which is the oldest box, sitting in receiving, there's 10 on hand, and the quantity to pick is 10. The seal kits, there's 75 to pick. I've got 50 and 50 in these two boxes, and it's not showing me the pump. And one of the reasons it's not showing me that pump is because it's on hold, it's not in stock. Now normally if I printed this out, this would be a barcode, so I can go and scan this picking slip to start picking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go take so that's my picking slip. So let's have it open in front of me so I can see what I'm doing. I'm now going to go to my scanner, and I'm going to go outbound picking. My picking document, which is my order number 067838, and it shows me that it's for a pump seal kit and a pump drive. Now you'll see that it didn't, it showed the pump seal kit, the pump drive, and the seal kit. So that's what's on the order. Okay, it's not going to allow me to pick that pump drive, and that wasn't on my picking slip. Okay, so now this location, and again I can change the prompt to say the staging location or the packing location. So this is the load bay. It's asking me where am I assembling this order. It's in the load bay. Now what tracking barcode am I going to go pick first? So the first thing I know is I want to go and pick these seal kits, and I know there's 75 of them, so I'm going to go to the first box. So let's go and take a look at that picking slip again and see where I can find it. So my picking slip says that those seal kits, there's two boxes of them. They're both sitting in A103, and it's box number 27 and box number 28. So I go to A103, I find box number 27, and I go to my scanner and I say, I scan the box number 27. Tells me that there's 50 on hand in this box. So let's say I'm going to pick 75. I can't do that. The requested quantity is greater than the on-hand quantity because we're working at a box level. Okay, so scan the box level again, box number 27, and take 50 of them. Okay, that was successful. You can see I've now picked 50 of the 75. So now the rest I can get from box number 28, and there I'm going to take 25 of them. Right, so that's transaction successful. The line item has disappeared off my order on the scanner, and I can now proceed to the next item. So now I know that I've got a pump because I can see it on the shelf. Okay, and this charge pump, I want to go pick it. So let's go and take a look where it is, just because I can physically see it, but I can't remember what its number was. Ah, yes, that was the one with the serial number. So I'm going to just copy that serial number barcode because that's what it's referenced by in Granite. I'm going to go to my scanner and I'm going to say, scan the tracking barcode. Okay, it tells me can't find information. Now, this error message, depending on certain configurations, that error message would have said it's currently on QC hold. But effectively, it's because of the way I've set up my statuses, it's not allowing me to pick it anyway. Won't allow me to pick it because the information is not available at this stage for picking. What I've probably got set up is that I can't view QC holds stock as stock. Right, I'm going to then go to my to the other line, because I know that I've got these 10 pump kits or seal kits. That stock code is 157B599, okay, which is this barcode here, barcode number 26, and it's sitting in receiving. If you remember, my my pick slip showed that it was in receiving. It's barcode number 26. There's 10 of them on hand, and I know I need to pick 10. But you know what? I don't want to allocate all 10 of those to this customer because I know that I need to keep some on hand for emergency. So I'm just going to take 8 of them. So tracking barcode number 26, and I'm going to take 8 of the 2. So now I've picked 8 of the 10. I've got 2 left on hand, and I'm happy with my picking. So let me go and show you what the results are of that picking. If I go to order execution, order number 838, you can see I've picked 8 of the 10 of those. I haven't picked the pump because that was on QC hold, but this line is completed because I picked all 75 of the seal kits. Likewise, if I go to my inventory stock detail, you can see my seal kits. That box is now empty, and this box has got 25 left in it. Okay. What's interesting is I'm showing the empty box. Now, what we normally do is we hide it by putting this filter over here that it's greater than 0. And it hides it, and then we save that as a standard configuration so it doesn't show the 0 box. But one of the reasons that we do have ability to show a 0 box is that it's possible to have a container that is labeled as a tracking entity that carries a 0 quantity, and then I keep on filling it up and then emptying it down to 0 again. So we can show 0 quantities. Right, you can also see that I've still got that pump drive, but the seal kit, this stock code, the 157B5999 seal kits, I've got 2 left because I picked the other 8 for, on that order. If I go to transactions, to pick transactions, you can see that I've specified my pick transactions, and I can see that I've picked for the seal kits and I've picked the pump. Right, so moving on, okay, that's the document number that I picked against, so I can go find the document number. And integration is false, so I haven't done anything in ACCPAC yet for this pick. So now that the stuff is all sitting in the load bay, and I'm now ready to check it. So someone goes and takes that pick slip, it's given over to them, they check it. We have got checking functionality in Granite, which I don't want to go into in this demonstration. But what we do is we check it, and now either the picker posts the order into ACCPAC or the confirmed shipment, alternatively the checker does it. So what I know is that I am shipping 50 seal kits and 25 seal kits at 75, and I'm shipping 8 of these other side module seal kits, and I'm not shipping the main pump. So I go to the order entry, you can see there's no shipments against it. I'm going to close that order. I'm now going to go to Granite, onto my scanner again, outbound, posting, and I'm going to put that order number in, 067838. So I post the order, and it creates a shipment, and that shipment is 067830. Okay, so let's go into ACCPAC, and if I go and refresh my transaction view and say show me what happened on order 067838, you can see that there's a document reference of 8330 and integration is true, so it's been integrated. I go into ACCPAC to my order 06738, and you can see that there's a shipment 067830 against it. And if I now go to my shipment entry, should be the last one, 067830, for art mining, this is the shipment so far. So you can see my shipped quantity is 8 of that, the pump seals, and there's 2 on back order. The pump itself is still on back order, and I've shipped the 75, nothing on back order for the seal kits. Okay, and I had posting turned on, so immediately on creating the shipment, posted it as well. I can just save it. The shipment is complete, and the invoice can be printed. Right, so just to recap, what I did was I went into my outbound order execution. I created a new order in ACCPAC which appeared in Granite. I had made a mistake and had a quantity of 0, so I went up the quantity to 10 on the order, and that was also synchronized with Granite. I then went into Granite and I picked 8 of the 10 item pump seal kits, and I picked the full 75 seal kits down here. The charge drive I tried to pick, but I couldn't because it was on quality hold. That line's complete. I then went and I posted it, and it created a shipment in ACCPAC, shipment 67830, and I could go to the transactions and see that the shipment was created and that integration was true, and I could see that the user scan picked it. And then lastly, what I want to show you under inventory transactions is that I can go for a specific stock code. Now let's choose a stock code, that stock code there. All my transactions showing for that stock code are that I receipted against purchase order number 100, created a receipt in ACCPAC, I receipted 10. I then went and I picked from box number 26, I picked 8 of the 10, leaving me with 2 in stock, and that's at a transaction level. So I've got traceability for at a box level per item code with the date and time of all transactions. And you can see the exact date and time. Right, so I have transaction traceability, I have stock detail and stock on hand and stock summary, I have outbound order execution for picking control, I have got inbound receiving execution, I have got receiving per user, for example, on reporting. Under inventory, I've got transactions and traceability, I've got movements that I did, and I've got quality control, and I've got variance correction, which shows me all discrepancies between ACCPAC by location as well as Granite. Quite interesting to see whether that stock code that we're working with, pick it up quickly, it's the 157B599. Let's take that stock code and let's go to the Granite variance correction and go and see what it says. So I've got some in Durban which I haven't been working with. In Joburg, I've got 2 in the warehouse, I've got 26 in my ERP. I've still got 2. I've probably got another sales order with something with some of those seal kits on them, which is why it's showing 4. Right, so I've basically taken you through an entire sort of supply chain type transaction. I've created stock, I've moved stock, I've done transactions in ACCPAC which have reflected in Granite, I've then receipted against purchase order, and I've picked against sales order. I've shown you traceability transactions and stock detail transactions. I showed you quality control where I put a pump on hold which didn't allow us to pick it, and I showed you outbound transactions, picking against a picking slip and then posting it after checking, which created a shipment in ACCPAC which could be invoiced, and my stock in Granite together with balancing of the variances. So that just about wraps up the demo. I think that there will be more to come. I'm going to post this on YouTube, and thank you very much for watching.